What the hell is this? Oh, nice. So Ukraine is using cruise missiles, kind of interesting. As you saw, it flies on a very, very high speed and at the kind of the low altitude, so it makes it very difficult to intercept this missile. But is it flamingo? Let's zoom in. No, it's not. What you saw on this video is the Ukrainian missile Peklo that was presented the last year. Ukraine already used it in some of the strikes, but for the first time we see the real image filmed by eyewitness. It's way smaller compared to Flamingo, but still could be kind of effective because it is equipped with the jet engine. So where did Ukraine use this missile? The occupied territory of Donetsk. There was the Russian base. Yeah, there was the kaboom. Sorry, I have to skip, I cannot show you it fully. But you can see the result. Kaboom, some of the local filmed it. And yeah, we have geolocation confirmation images shared in internet. OSINT analytics are working day and night to give us more details. There were actually 3 of the kabooms totally reported today in occupied Donetsk. Ukraine used not just those Pekla missiles, but also drones. By the way, the name of missile Pekla means hell, so that's why I said what the hell, because it is. The kaboom which you have just seen in the video was the location of the Russian headquarters in Topaz factory. Russians say that totally 5 of the cruise missiles hit that facility. Also, the building of the Scientific Research Institute facility of automation systems was hit, but it wasn't used by Occupation Administration as an institute building. No, it was again the Russian headquarters command. And the 3rd facility was also the Russian command headquarters, the command of the 20th Motorized Division of the Russian army. So potentially with the strike, Ukraine really beheaded the Russian army local command. Locals reported about multiple of the ambulances that were sent to those places, so could be losses, yeah. And as we know, Russians are gathering their forces for the major strike, so their main command was actually placed in Donetsk. So the strikes on that command may disturb Russian plans in the region. About the Russian army movement, well, they sent from Sumy to Kherson the 11th Paratroop Brigade. Instead, they're taken from Kherson, the 104th Paratroop Division, and so far we are out of clue whether they're gonna send it to Orikhiv, because Russia has attack attempts here, or it might be sent to Donetsk direction. The replacement is happening all around. It takes time for Russia to prepare for that major strike. And Russians are trying to find out the weak spots in Ukrainian defense. For example, this was the attack towards Mirnograd in Pokrov's direction. I was telling you about it for a couple of days now, and finally we obtained the real drone image, showing at least 1, 2, 3, 4 Russian vehicles. And just for you to understand how impudent this attack really was, well, Russians took this main road to advance to Mirnograd, the road which is being monitored by Ukrainian surveillance 24/7 with absolutely zero probability for anyone to use it successfully. But somehow Russians decided to take it for their advancement, and that is how they're searching for the weak spots. For me, it is evident that it's the main road, so it would be monitored by Ukraine, and it is monitored. So what they were waiting for advancing with those vehicles, it's hard to say, and let's see what happened to them. Well, as you understand, it's absolutely no-go, so surveillance drone was flying there, then FPV drones were called for the strike. Yeah, sorry guys, I have to cut this video, you know, because of the YouTube and other stuff, but there were multiple of the strikes on this convoy. Some of the vehicles required few of the strikes because this hunger protection really works. But Ukraine has many of the drones, so the smoke is coming from those vehicles absolutely after multiple of the strikes. Everything was stopped well before reaching Ukrainian positions. This is the failure out of failures. Guys, I don't really see the reason for those Russian strikes to use armored vehicles nowadays on the front lines that massively in the convoy. It's kind of the big concentration of the forces that attracts attention of Ukrainian drone operators. 1, maximum 2 vehicles, that's okay. This is how Ukrainian army operates actually. Usually 1 tank or 1 Bradley does the job supporting infantry, that's it. But no, Russians have this Soviet-style mid-throwing technique, and for 3.5 years of this war, they still do it. it is unhinged. And who is responsible for that Russian mid-wave tactics and for the losses Russian army has in Ukraine? Well, obviously our good old friend Gerasimov, a commander of the Russian army, who is in his position for a long 10 years. Just yesterday, Putin honored this general with a medal of bravery. Shoigu, where is your medal? Gerasimov already has it. The news about his new award spread around internet, and I would say that Z community is not okay with that. They mainly call their own commander an incompetent butcher. Well, honestly saying, to be really open to you, there are many of the questions to Ukrainian military command as well, including General Commander Syrsky, who is Russian after all. But Ukrainian command in no any way may even challenge the genius incompetence of Gerasimov, who was actually preparing the Russian army for this war and failed with the blitzkrieg operation in multiple of the directions in Ukraine, including Kiev direction. His misunderstanding and poor organization of the forces in Ukraine led to Ukrainian victories back in autumn 2022. Then Ukraine gained the territories of most of the Kharkiv region and later on successfully liberated the vast part of Kherson region, including the main city of Kherson, which was just left by Russians. Well, Russia has talented commanders like, for example, General Surovikin, who built lots of the defense lines, and because of his actions, Ukraine actually wasn't that successful in 2023 with the counterattack operation. But Surovikin was Prigozhin's close ally and mate, so by the time Prigozhin went to Moscow, Surovikin recorded this video, for example, saying, "Prigozhin, stop!" And somehow Prigozhin listened to everyone, mostly Lukashenko, and decided to turn away from Moscow. But it was very, very close for Russian regime to collapse and for unforeseen circumstances start to happen in Russia itself. But yeah, we have what we have. Nevertheless, there is still the probability for another Prigozhin to appear, especially right now then Russia is suffering crazy losses and there is no visible end to this war. Another Russian talented general is General Popov, who was defending the southern part of Ukraine with his paratroopers, and also because of his actions, the Ukrainian counteroffensive failed in 2023. Two of those generals played a great role for Russian army defense. Without them, Ukraine would have been touching the Black Sea, liberating Tokmak, Melitopol, and touching the border with Crimea. But those talented generals, they're jailed, like you can see here. Popov was dismissed and prosecuted because he was telling too much about the real things happening in the Russian army, telling the stories with the poor supplies, poor organization, poor command coming from Gerasimov. And it seems like Gerasimov doesn't like it. Moreover, Putin dismissed many of the generals himself. He started the cleaning of the Russian army, but it seems like he appoints not professional generals, not talented people to their positions, but loyal people. So Gerasimov, despite all of his mistakes, he is loyal to Putin, and that's why a few days ago, or the day before yesterday, he received the Medal of Bravery on his 70th birthday. Gerasimov is becoming the next Adam Kadyrov, who obtains medals for absolutely no reason, like for example for birthday and so on, just occasions, maybe International Women's Day and so on. It is really called a negative selection, then those people are being appointed, loyal people who also give the misinformation to their higher command, and Putin, surrounded by those loyalists, he lives in his own informational bubble. I'm sure that the recent Russian flag operation in Kupiansk was done just for PR campaign to show to the high military command or to Putin himself. Then Russians went into the central part of Kupiansk, then de facto it was just a kamikaze operation of 1 or 2 Russian soldiers who went there one way with their flags, and later on Ukrainian soldiers showed how they took those Russian flags out from the place together with the Russian soldiers who delivered those. Or as in many cases, Russia delivers flags with the help of the drones. That's it. My friends, as for the front lines, there are just minor fluctuations, and Ukraine still tries to cut the Russian army in this place, in Ruzzian and Novotoretsk. Ukraine continued attempts to encircle this Russian army group. I think this week will be decisive for the operation of the Ukrainian army in this particular spot. What was initially a disaster for Ukrainian army with this fast Russian breakthrough turned to the disaster for the Russian army. Who would have thought that Ukraine is still capable for those fast, rapid counterattacks? Right, let's go to the other news. Slaviansk-on-Kuban oil refinery in Krasnodarsky Krai, Russia, stopped its operation completely. It was hit on 4th of September, so a few days ago. Experts say that the damage sustained is so dramatic that it requires few months to restore the operation. The interesting thing that it is the key Russian export refinery, so Russia sells fuel from this one. Oh, what is this? This is the Russian helicopter Mi-8, which was found in the Kursk region. Well, actually it was hit at the beginning of the year, but now we obtained detailed images showing that helicopter was damaged. I wonder what happened there. Could be a Heimer strike, but it also could be a forced landing in a field. Yeah, looks like the forced landing more for me because the helicopter is not being shrapnelled, at least heavily, so it could be Ukrainian air defense and operation or something. Alright, the deputy commander of the 72nd Russian division was arrested by the Russian military police. He says, how could it be? You're just a sergeant and you arrest me, the deputy commander? You don't have any sort of the right. I will complain. Call your commanders. But the military police has obtained the order to arrest the guy because he was found drunk and someone filmed him of how he just slams furniture in the Russian barracks and how he behaves towards his people out there, towards the Russian soldiers. Yeah, I'm still trying to find that video, but it was said about it in this dialogue between him and the military police. So yeah, -1 more deputy commander, sadly not the main commander of the 72nd division, but deputy is still kind of the high rank. So here in the video he admitted that he did it, and it was filmed by the hidden camera. He's been detained and probably already arrested. Right, the break in Russian propaganda news. The chief editor of the Russia Today, Margarita Simonyan, is terribly sick. She has cancer. Wow. On September the 7th, Margarita herself said that she is very sick. Her husband, by the way, is still in coma in the hospital. Also, by the way, the Russian propagandist. Well, it appears that it's some sort of the family curse. And she probably even may resign because of her state from the chief editor position of Russia Today. Oh my god. My condolences to cancer, because being in that body is kind of blah. Well, if you look at this situation in Russia in general, still they have lots of the other editors. Simonyan was just popular, you know, the classical Russian propagandist. Probably she would be the Goebbels' favorite one, as she was the favorite of Putin. So yeah, probably she will resign, we'll see. Oh, Mr. Orban, a puppet of Russia in Europe, said that Ukraine will be divided into 3 of the parts. First part will be taken by Russia, eastern Ukraine. The central part will be a buffer zone, and Ukraine as an independent country will stay just in the western part, but it will never be accepted to NATO and European Union, because me, Orban, the god of EU, have decided it. He also said that Europe lost it because it is not united. Europe is not united because of you, freaking Orban, and Slovakia probably. So why complain? You do the task of Putin in Europe, introducing Russian peace narratives out there. He also said that America is weak and China is strong, like something like this. Standard influence by those dictators are on Orban's regime, but Orban's regime is not forever. Next year there are going to be elections in Hungary, and I guess they will elect someone else, because people like Hungarians themselves, they are mainly sick and tired of Orban, and opposition party TISA, it has more percentage of approval rating, at least for now.
С вами веселый Балоши. С нами Бог.
He said, "С нами Бог, Gott mit uns, God with us." Well, it is not the Russian military, this is so-called Russian volunteer. Yeah, Russian volunteers are going to the occupied territory of Ukraine just for looting. Yeah, they may do some sort of the local job to help Russians with provisions and everything, but it's the main excuse for them to actually loot what is left out there in ruined Ukrainian buildings. Again, he's not the Russian military, he's just a civilian, but they loot a lot and they send everything of that, like this washing machine, back to Russia. And he's even proud of it. He says, God with us, you know, we are doing the right thing, looting everything around. Oh, good news, there will be a direct military support for Ukraine from the United States of America. Totally 65 of M1117 vehicles will be sent, but it will happen in the next 3 years. So it seems like Ukraine may obtain 20 of the vehicles per year, which is absolutely not that much, but the interesting fact that it is the direct military support coming from USA via USAI program, and it is still working. Wow. So the fact of it is interesting. Yeah, it's not even close to what Ukraine needs, but it could be the first baby step. Because Donald Trump said that will not directly support Ukraine with military. However, we see those kind of the vehicles being agreed already. And we may check out the original document about combat assault and tactical vehicles sent to Ukraine. So you can see support of Ukraine security assistance. The document was released on 4th of September here. Are those the good news? Absolutely. German Chancellor Merz says that everything indicates Putin plans won't end with Ukraine. Yep, Putin's goal is to restore the Soviet Union or Russian Empire. Those are far beyond those 4 or 5 oblasts of Ukraine which Putin doesn't really want to obtain. He wants all of the Ukraine and even more. By the way, one more drone went to Polish airspace. It was spotted by locals, and local authorities say, yeah, there could be the drone, wow. Also, there are Russian sabotage operations conducted on territory of Germany, on territory of Poland too. Drones fly to another neighboring countries. Escalation is happening in the Baltic Sea. Escalation with military drills in Belarus. But no. We should believe Putin. Putin wants peace, as Donald Trump says. Putin just wants Donbass, as Witkov says. Come on, give Russia Donbass and Donald Trump will obtain a Nobel Prize. Well, Chancellor Merz here is way more smarter than his colleague from the United States of America. And he added that while United States remains an important partner, the relationship has become less self-evident as Washington makes its ties conditional on certain interests and topics. So United States is drifting away. Plus, Pentagon has already announced that they're gonna cancel security initiatives for Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, those critical countries actually, to protect NATO. But yeah, United States, for now, it doesn't care. And probably I'm gonna record one more video dedicated to Donald Trump in particular, but it's more my reaction. So I'm gonna publish it on my other channel, which you may find in the video description just below. And also, guys, you may check out my Patreon. Thank you so much for those people who support me on Patreon, on membership of this YouTube channel. And sometimes I publish unique content for my supporters, as I did this week, I think, a couple of the times. Well, at least I try to do it as often as I can. Now, guys, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.